The episode opens with a moment that stopped everyone in their tracks. Kody is suddenly hovering over Truly, the child he barely acknowledged for years. The cameras catch every glance, every gesture. But something feels off. There's a careful timing to his attention, a precision that doesn't come from the heart. But what happened next shocked everyone. What seemed like a father finally stepping in starts to look like a performance, a calculated display designed for the cameras, for the court, and for public eyes. Robin standing nearby, smiles, nods, and frames every word with a careful sense of propriety. It's almost too perfect. The two of them move through the house with a sense of theater, preparing spaces and rooms as if building a scene rather than a home. Could love really be this conditional? Every gesture seems measured, every action timed to coincide with legal and financial matters that the audience can only guess at. And yet, there's a tension beneath the smiles, a subtle unease that even the children seem to notice. Past absences, missed milestones, quiet disappointments, they all linger like shadows in the corners of the room. This isn't just about creating a bedroom or showing care. It's about asserting control, preserving appearances, and maintaining a narrative that benefits the two of them most. And as the camera lingers on their careful choreography, you can't help but wonder, what secrets are being hidden behind all this careful attention? The truth is waiting, and when it surfaces, it's going to shake the foundation of this family. If you caught the last episode, you know things were already tense. Kody's sudden spotlight on Truly had everyone raising eyebrows. Robin was orchestrating everything with her usual precision, carefully placing every object and word exactly where she wanted it. Meanwhile, the older children were quietly observing, clearly sensing that something was off. And the drama wasn't limited to the new attention on Truly. There were whispers about the Coyote Pass property, subtle disagreements over space, and the way Kody seemed to prioritize appearances over actual family connection. You could almost feel the tension crawling through the rooms, the kind that makes everyone hold their breath. Now, in today's episode, the stakes get even higher. The focus isn't just on a bedroom or a new gesture of care. The cracks in the family's carefully curated fade start to widen. The scene opens with Cody and Robin discussing plans for another gathering at their sprawling home. But unlike previous episodes, there's an undercurrent of calculation you can't ignore. Every word, every smile seems tailored for optics. The question isn't whether the Browns are loving, it's whether they are performing love for everyone else's benefit. And while they move through their day with that familiar mix of ceremony and control, the other wives and adult children are quietly plotting their own lives in the background, grounded, independent, and far less interested in the spectacle. You know what I mean? The contrast is stark, and it makes you wonder who is really living authentically in this story. But here's where it gets interesting. Just as Kody announces a family meeting to discuss household arrangements, the mood shifts. The tension rises, and even Robin's careful composure shows cracks. You can see it in her eyes, the subtle pause before she answers a question about Truly's bedroom. There's a hint that something unexpected is about to happen, something that will throw the carefully staged order into chaos. And when that moment hits, the entire family and the audience will be left questioning what's real and what's just for show. Kody's sudden devotion to Truly might look heartwarming at first glance. But when you take a closer look, the timing is hard to ignore. After nearly 2 decades of absence, he's suddenly showing up, making plans, and fussing over a child who barely saw him in the past. But here's where it gets wild. This surge of attention coincides almost perfectly with legal and financial pressures, including custody considerations and child support obligations. The gestures feel less like spontaneous fatherly love and more like calculated moves designed to create an image. You can't ignore the history. Truly's frightening illness barely drew Kody near Christine's home. Those moments of absence weren't accidents. They were part of a long pattern, a clear indication of priorities that rarely extended beyond Robin's household. Yet now, cameras rolling, he makes a show of assembling a bedroom for Truly, as if space had been the only thing holding him back. The reality is far simpler. The willingness was never there. Consistency, care, and presence, those were missing for years, and now the spotlight shines, creating the illusion of a devoted father. Even the small gestures take on a performative air. Every smile, every encouraging word feels choreographed, as if he's aware of the audience just as much as the child. It's almost theatrical, a masterclass in using affection as a tool, not a bond. You start to notice the subtle cues, the camera angles, the timing of the scenes, the way Robin quietly nods in approval. This isn't just about Truly's welfare, it's about presenting an image of devotion that can be measured in courtrooms and social perception. And just when you think the story couldn't get more manipulative, there's a quiet moment that says it all. Kody, flustered by a question about schedules and past neglect, shifts the focus back to appearances. You can see it in his posture, in the way the conversation is redirected. The audience is left questioning, how much of this is for Truly, and how much is another act in a long-running performance? If you thought this was the height of Kody's maneuvering, wait. There's another move coming, one that will make you question just how far he's willing to go to control perception and manipulate reality. Robin moves through her day with the kind of precision that makes you wonder if she's living in a house or directing a stage play. Every decision, every word, seems designed to protect her branch of the family, ensuring her household's comfort comes first, often at the expense of the others. Wait till you hear what she said next. She casually lays out the conditions under which she would even consider adding another wife. Restrictions so precise and limiting that they make the possibility almost impossible. It's less about principles and more about control, a way to keep the equilibrium of her world intact without ever having to say no out loud. Her moral and spiritual reasoning is just as selective. Robin talks about devotion, guidance, and careful preparation, but it becomes clear that these beliefs serve her more than the family. She frames every decision as sacred, yet it shields her from facing the reality of Kody's patterns and ambitions. While she emphasizes caution and proper preparation for plural marriage, the underlying motive is to maintain her influence and secure her household's dominance. The irony is subtle but unmistakable. Her stated priorities rarely align with her actions. Her controlling tendencies extend beyond philosophical boundaries. Space, rules, and household arrangements are manipulated to her advantage. Rooms are designated, schedules are dictated, and boundaries are reinforced, all under the guise of responsibility and care. But the audience begins to see the pattern. The measures are not for the good of the family. They are designed to protect her comfort, to preserve appearances, and to preempt any challenge to her authority. Even her smiles and gentle nods can't hide the contradiction. She projects warmth and spiritual guidance, but the effect is hollow when you consider who actually benefits. Her influence ensures that Kody's attention, the household's resources, and even the narrative itself stay aligned with her vision. The performance is convincing, but the cracks are visible to anyone paying attention. And as the episode unfolds, the audience senses a brewing conflict. The ideals she sets up in her household collide with reality. Rules, spaces, and expectations aren't lining up with what the older children or other family members actually want. That tension is about to escalate, threatening to expose the gap between her carefully curated world and the messy, unpredictable life beyond it. Once, Kody moved through family events with a kind of effortless charm. He was buoyant, joking, seemingly untouchable, the patriarch everyone looked to with admiration. But over time, the shift becomes impossible to ignore. Weddings that he couldn't control, moves he hadn't planned, and milestones that unfolded outside his influence began to wear him down. Just when you think things are calming down, boom, the cracks show, subtle at first, then undeniable. His patience frays, his smiles lose warmth, and the energy he once carried evaporates into tension and control. The weddings of his children are telling. When he approves of a partner, he beams, fully engaged, radiating that old charisma. But when the choice isn't pre-screened, his demeanor changes instantly. He grows impatient, brittle, and almost withdrawn. The camera doesn't lie, the body language speaks volumes. What looks like disinterest is really a struggle for dominance, a desperate attempt to maintain influence over events he can't fully orchestrate. Moves between homes also contribute. What used to be a celebration of new beginnings turns into an opportunity for criticism and dissatisfaction. Kody's focus shifts from family joy to logistical perfection. Every relocation measured against control. Every disagreement amplified. The family watches, some quietly resisting, others trying to adapt, while Kody's charm slips further from reach. Cultural shifts also play a role. Around 2016, his rhetoric begins to shift, emphasizing obedience, hierarchy, and control. Words and phrases carry weight beyond the household, reflecting a broader tension with the world outside. What might have been harmless tradition now reads as rigidity, a deepening of patterns already visible in his interactions with wives and children. By now, it's clear that the patriarch the family knew has evolved into a figure driven less by affection and more by authority. The laughter is muted, the warmth reserved, the performance increasingly self-conscious. Even simple family moments are now measured, weighed, and filtered through the lens of expectation and control. And just when the audience thinks this tension might ease, there's a gathering with the other wives. Eyes lock, words are weighed, and subtle jabs hint at deeper resentments. An emotional confrontation is brewing, one that threatens to expose cracks the family has carefully hidden for years, setting the stage for a clash no one wants to ignore. The Browns' obsession with space and possessions has become a spectacle in itself. Mansions, sprawling rooms, and endless trinkets dominate their world. You would think a house could hold a family together, but in their case, the bigger the space, the emptier the hearts inside. This part will completely change how you see them. The walls are filled with objects, yet the laughter, warmth, and genuine connection are scarce. Every doll collection, every oversized decoration feels like a statement of entitlement rather than love. Contrast this with the lives of the other wives. Christine, Janelle, and Mary have carved out homes filled with authenticity. Their spaces are functional, lived in, and full of energy. There's no need to broadcast wealth to assert importance. Joy doesn't come from marble countertops or sprawling estates. It comes from stability, laughter, and shared experiences. The contrast is striking. While the Browns surround themselves with grandeur, the others build genuine bonds and create memories that money cannot buy. The Browns' culture of opulence feeds a cycle of entitlement. Children grow accustomed to excess, measuring happiness in square footage and luxury items. Complaints about showers too small or spaces too modest highlight the disconnect between perception and reality. What once were simple, communal lives are now viewed through a lens of material expectation. Gratitude has been replaced with a constant demand for more space, more possessions, more justification, for a family that no longer exists in practice. Even the newest McMansion tells a story. Purchased as a supposed gesture of family unity, it serves as a monument to ego and control. The couple may feel satisfied with the aesthetics, the size, and the social optics, but the truth is in the silence of the rooms and the distance of the children who rarely enter them. Wealth has substituted for effort, for communication, and for genuine care. And just when you think the emptiness might stay hidden behind the fade, a moment arises that exposes it in full. Words are exchanged, emotions flare, and the gap between appearances and reality threatens to explode into a confrontation that could finally shatter the illusion the Browns have carefully maintained for so long. Christine moves through her days with a sense of grounded purpose. Her home is alive, with laughter, family routines, and genuine warmth. She travels, invests in experiences, and shares consistent support with her children and grandchildren. Janelle is thriving too, building her dreams while surrounded by love and stability. Mary has found her own space, a refuge where honesty and friendship guide her choices. Their lives aren't perfect, but they're real, and they're full of the kind of joy money or size of a house can't buy. Meanwhile, Cody and Robin's version of happiness feels fragile and staged. It depends on spite, on asserting dominance, on keeping up appearances. Laughter is calculated, conversations curated, and every gesture filtered through a lens of control. The contrast couldn't be sharper. While the ex-wives have created functional, thriving lives, the Browns' world is increasingly theatrical. A performance meant to convince themselves and the audience that all is well, even as relationships erode quietly around them. If you've been following this story, you know this moment hits hard. The adult children reflect the long-term impact of this dynamic. Some pull away entirely, refusing to play into the fantasy of unity, while others navigate tension with caution, always measuring words and actions to avoid conflict. The lessons of emotional scarcity echo across generations, shaping how children define family, loyalty, and trust. And just when the audience thinks they understand the fractures, a hidden betrayal emerges, something long buried beneath the polished surfaces and staged smiles. This revelation threatens to pull the entire family dynamic apart, exposing truths no one wants to confront, but everyone senses have always been there. The tension in the room is palpable. Cody sits across from the wives, every gesture measured, every word carrying weight. Robin watches, her expression a mix of calculation and unease. Jealousy, loyalty, and resentment intertwine in ways that make the air almost electric. Old grievances resurface, and every comment lands like a stone in still water, sending ripples through the family dynamic. Christine doesn't hold back, her voice sharp but controlled, pointing out inconsistencies in promises made and actions taken. Janelle counters, highlighting moments where patience has run thin, where compromise was demanded but never reciprocated. Even Mary, usually the mediator, allows herself subtle jabs, letting the weight of past slights settle uncomfortably in the space between everyone. But just when you think it's over, something else drops. Cody, frustrated by the pushback, raises a point that shifts the conversation entirely. Suddenly, what was a discussion about fairness becomes a test of control. Robin interjects, reinforcing rules and conditions that underline her priorities. The room fractures further, alliances shifting subtly, and loyalties re-examined in real time. Through it all, you can feel the emotional exhaustion. Words sting more than intended, pauses carry judgment, and the smallest glance can ignite an old argument. The audience sees a family caught between performance and reality, trying to navigate decades of emotional debt while maintaining a fragile fade of unity. Mini hooks appear everywhere. Every statement, every counterpoint, every eye roll signals that the confrontation isn't just about today. Hidden motives, old rivalries, and carefully curated appearances keep tensions simmering. Nothing is resolved, and the unspoken truths hang in the air, heavy and impossible to ignore. And as the meeting concludes, the consequences of these emotional confrontations aren't contained to this room. Every decision, every jab, every revealed frustration will reverberate through the family, shaping interactions, altering alliances, and setting the stage for betrayals and conflicts that no one saw coming, but everyone will feel. The episode didn't just stir emotions inside the Brown family, it set social media on fire. Fans flooded forums and comment sections with reactions ranging from disbelief to outright outrage. You won't believe what fans are saying about this. Some call Cody's sudden attention to truly manipulative, a calculated move for optics and control. Others sympathize with Robin, applauding her attempts to maintain order in an increasingly chaotic household. Viewers have opinions on every nuance. One hot take claims the entire mansion obsession is performative, a way to assert dominance rather than nurture family bonds. Another points out the stark contrast between the Browns' lavish lifestyle and the grounded, functional lives of Christine, Janelle, and Mary. Fans debate endlessly about whether the original wives are justified in stepping back or if Cody and Robin are unfairly judged. Do you think Christine made the right choice here? Would you have stayed or walked away if you were in her place? These questions dominate discussions across platforms. Theories circulate about hidden motives, long-standing resentments, and possible strategic moves by Cody and Robin to maintain appearances. Some fans dig into every glance, every sigh, and every carefully worded statement, piecing together a narrative that the show only hints at but never fully admits. Social media also highlights the generational impact on the children. Observers note how adult offspring are asserting independence, refusing to play along with the staged unity, and questioning long-held family hierarchies. Fans share stories, screenshots, and personal reflections, creating a virtual conversation that extends far beyond the TV screen. Mini hooks keep the discussion electric. Every tweet, every post, every viral clip adds layers to the unfolding drama. The more fans dissect, the clearer it becomes that what happens in the Brown household resonates far beyond family walls. And as the episode fades from the screen, one question lingers in the digital air. What will happen when the fractures and betrayals the audience has been watching finally collide in a way that no one, inside or outside the family, can ignore? The next episode promises answers that will shock, provoke, and leave everyone talking. As the dust settles, the full weight of the Brown family drama comes into focus. Betrayals, manipulations, and fractured relationships have left marks that no amount of wealth or sprawling homes can erase. Cody and Robin sit surrounded by material success, yet the warmth, laughter, and genuine connection that should fill those walls are noticeably absent. Their world is polished and curated, a stage where appearances dominate over authenticity. Contrast this with Christine, Janelle, and Mary, whose lives are defined not by square footage or possessions, but by love, stability, and emotional resilience. These women have built real homes filled with joy, laughter, and meaningful bonds, proving that richness cannot be measured in bedrooms or assets alone. Every grand gesture or oversized property in Cody and Robin's world only underscores the emptiness of a life built on appearances. The emotional toll extends beyond the present. Adult children have grown cautious, sometimes distant, and the lessons of neglect and conditional love ripple through the family. Loyalties shift, old wounds reopen, and trust becomes a scarce commodity. Every calculated smile, every staged display of devotion only reminds the audience how fragile the veneer really is. Next time, one wife finally says enough is enough. The cracks that have been widening for years are about to reveal consequences that no one can avoid. Emotions will run raw, loyalties will be tested, and the carefully maintained performance will collide with reality in a way that will leave the family and viewers reeling. What would you do in their place? Comment below, you know better how. Would you tolerate the manipulation or walk away to protect your own sense of family and self-worth? The choices they make will shape not just their future, but the future of every relationship tethered to this complex household. As the screen fades, one truth is undeniable. Wealth cannot buy connection, and control cannot substitute for care. The Brown saga is far from over, and the next episode promises a confrontation that will be as shocking as it is inevitable. Get ready, because the next chapter is going to change everything.